You know, there are times when opportunities, Infusionsoft opportunities, are the right thing to use. And in my business in particular, I make, a big use of opportunities to manage, the business that I get. However, there are many situations where you have leads coming in, and there are a lot of leads that aren't particularly qualified. And if you create an opportunity for each one, you end up having this huge proliferation of opportunities, and they end up being kind of difficult to manage. So this is a tag-based pipeline management that we use for a number of customers. And I wanted to share it with you because it'll give you some insight as to how you can use this, especially if you have a lot of leads and then only a small percentage or 20-30% of them actually become opportunities. So you manage your leads using tags, and then you manage opportunities only after someone has done some qualification steps. So here we have a dashboard for one of our sales guys. Ignore this one. This is farther down the pipeline. So we have a website that people fill out expressing interest in having a salesperson call them. And so the minute a lead comes in here, we have 4 or 5 going on 6 sales guys, and we round robin those leads into this position. And so what happens is they get tagged with a new lead. So we have this pipeline stage tag category, and they immediately fall into this one. This happens to be assigned to someone else. That's why it doesn't show up in theirs. So the sales guys know that this queue, which is basically made up of just this is just a saved report. So we have a report here that says show how many records are in this search, and this is the new leads that are in salesperson with initials BH in it. So that part ends up being pretty straightforward. And then all of these are exactly the same things. They're saved searches, each of which displays for this sales guy which ones are in each of these states. So the person knows that anything that shows in here needs to be dealt with within 6 hours max. And their job is to either make a phone call and leave a message so that they get instant feedback or response, or if they speak with them, to decide what happens next. So let me go over here to this person's. So this is just a test account. And so what are the options that the sales guy has? Well, the sales guy has either managed the prospect status or made a call and made no contact. So let's say it's a new lead. It comes in and they make a call and nobody picks up the phone. So what we have here is we give them the option to send them a follow-up email. And the email is very straightforward. It says, hey, returning your call, please return my call, as soon as you can. Here's my telephone number. Here's my email. Now, because a sales guy may have the chance to call back a few times in one day, they don't necessarily want that email going out every time. So we give them another option that says, I want to document that I made a call. I want to document that I left them a message, but I don't want to send a follow-up email. And then, we give them a notes field so they can leave any notes, based on what might be appropriate. Now, this can be enhanced a bunch of different ways. You could, by default, place a task or an email that you send them to go out the next day so that they're reminded that 24 hours later they need to do something. Another option would be to give them a date field to say, hey, send me an email or assign me a task 2 or 3 days into the future. Or, the guy's on vacation. He said, hey, call me back in 2 weeks, and he gave them a specific date. So then the salesperson can basically give themselves a reminder that there's something to do. Now, the other form that we give them is manage prospect status. And the manage prospect status allows the person to say, hey, this thing that's in a new lead, I spoke to the customer, it seems like they're interested. Or, man, I've tried them a whole bunch of times, I can't make contact. I had contact in the past, I don't have any more contact. So this pushes them out of their queue, so it would no longer show up except maybe in this category. The way we have this configured here is once it goes into this category, we put them into an automated nurture sequence so that the salesperson doesn't have to do anything else with it. So going back to here, this means that the person went from new lead, let's say I got a hold of them, they went to working, so they were hanging out here for a little bit, and now they have a proposal that went out. So in a proposal, it would show up in this category here, and then the person can work them, pushing them down to either a closed won or a closed loss. Now, the nice thing about this approach is then the sales manager can be given a dashboard, and the way we have the manager's dashboard is for each salesperson on the team, they have a view that looks exactly like this. So it gives the salesperson a very quick way to look at how many new leads are being handled. Is this working lead possibly growing too much? And then also to compare how many customer interested versus, no contact, so that maybe someone has a backlog in customer interested. Maybe there's someone who isn't getting enough customer interested. It gives them visibility to the pipelines that the different people have, so that they can manage, and then they can also compare how one salesperson is doing with another. Now, I'm not going to get into the campaign too much in depth, but I did want to show you, here are the two forms. Now, what we have here is this form here is the one that enables the sales guy to change which pipeline stage they're in. So for each one, there's a decision diamond here based on which of those radio buttons is clicked, and then it handles each one accordingly. So you'll be coming up in here, and the minute I check a new lead and I make it working lead, it goes to here. And then this is just that the manager gets notified 3 days later if it stays too long in that stage. So anything that's working, customer interested, or a proposal, we want to make sure that within 3 days the sales manager gets notified. And then we do have this stage change tag that anytime there is a stage change, and that's notified every time this form is clicked, we want to make sure that we pull people out of here so that the manager isn't notified incorrectly. So we've created a loop in here where people are stuck in here, but if there's a stage change, it pulls them out so that they can be pulled in again. Now, whenever there's a call made and a message left, we want to make sure that anybody who was a new lead is moved into working, because the sales guy did do their job, and the job is make sure that we can get new leads addressed in 3 to 6 hours. And then you keep on working down the line here. So this is a very high level. We find that an arrangement like this works very nice, and then we only take advantage of opportunities or start using opportunities once we get to the proposal stage, because the assumption there is this goes from someone that seems to be interested to someone who is interested, and now we want to handle them using opportunities. We can do sales forecasting. There's a lot more that we can do, but we don't have this huge proliferation of opportunities created every single time someone fills a form on their website and says that there might be some sort of interest. So we want to make sure that the sales guys do qualification of the leads before we push them and make an Infusionsoft opportunity in the system.